All right. Can you hear me now? Oh my gosh. Are you serious? I've been sitting here talking to myself for 15 minutes. I played 20 minutes of music. Oh, that's awesome. So hopefully you guys will let me know that you can hear me now. It does appear from everything that I can see that it's actually happening. Of course, it showed me that before. Oh, this is awesome. Good. Okay. Oh man, you know what? I'm spilling my heart out to you guys and like telling you really difficult things, and then only to find out that there's nothing going on. Outstanding. Oh, guys. Okay, where to begin? Should I just start noodling again? Oh, holy crow. Let's see. Where do I go? I started. And I saw in the chat that he's building the suspense, and I thought, yeah, well, of course, I was kind of getting to an idea. This is just, oh man. Okay, well, let me back up then, and I'll try to get to I'll try to get to where I started. All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is an exciting, exciting beginning, and that's just outstanding. All right. Not exactly sure what happened there. It just everything said it was happening for me. I could see video, hear audio, and it just. All right. So again, so audio good. Tell you where to go. Like, is everything happening? Are we good? Make sure that this is all good before I start again. Oh gosh, this has just been an exciting week all around. Just let me know in the chat that everything's good, and I'll continue before I start again. I'm sitting there again, spilling my guts, going, "Hey, it's a difficult week, and this is going to be a little weird thing." So let me know for sure that everything's going well, and and then I will start over. Okay, thank you, Megsy. I appreciate that. Oh man. Okay, so let's back up then from the beginning. All right. So when we began this journey together, most of you found me, I would assume, from Crow 777, Rose, and Jason, and that's where I initially began. Yeah, music. I did that. I played like, oh, okay, made it. Okay, thanks, Nemo. Yeah, you slide in. You missed the excitement. There was nothing good. Nothing good at the beginning. I played like 20 minutes of music, and then I started talking, and it's like, getting really serious, and then everybody's like, no, don't hear you. Like, oh, for crying out loud, really? Okay, so right, so my assumption is that most of you found your way here through Crow 777, through Jason, Rose, and that's where initially kind of I began talking to them, and it was always my intention to sort of keep a certain separation between, again, not only, myself and, again, I don't really care. I've got a couple of people, we get those trolls from time to time go, I know who you are. It's like, hey, great. I know who I am too. And so do like a lot of other people. It's like the only reason that I just don't put my name out there, right, is because primarily I think that should be the separation just between the message and the messenger. It's not about, I see so much going on these days with personalities, right? Especially in the truth community, well, all over the place. But in the truth community, we got personalities and they start infighting and who's better and blah, blah, blah. And I have no interest in any of that, right? My feeling is that the message itself should be clear and consistent. And I try again to kind of go with this, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove, right? Or if it's hypothesis and speculation, you clearly state that, hey, this is what I think, or this is what I see, and let people kind of work it out for themselves. And that has always been my way, right? I think that most of you have found in your own journey to truth that you cannot simply, just dump all the information on somebody and convince them that these things are true. They must come to it on their own, right? In everything, and despite my intention to sort of keep things very separate, one of the things that comes out, for example, I would assume that pretty much most of the people here, if you haven't already, you were probably there live, right, on Wednesday night, Secrets of Saturn, where we went through the coming cryptocurrency and what the powers that be have in mind there. And we always get to the end, and there's always this question, right? This is all so dark and depressing, and even commented during that show that as we read these documents, and many more than we reveal to you or go through, there is this brooding sense of like, man, the world that we live in is just fucked. These people are psychopaths, right? And but what we come to is, what do we do about it? And we always get to, and we wrapped it up, all of us, in our own way on Wednesday night. So Jason, Crow, Wayne McCrory, myself, we all come to this, same conclusion, that primarily this is a spiritual battle, right? It comes down to that, again, there's a scripture which says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places. And that these battles are largely a spiritual battle. And I have, again, intentionally kept some distance there, not wanting to, not because I'm ashamed of anything that I have going on personally. I have a relationship with the Creator, but outside the context of religion, because I think religion has done not only a terrible job, but it seems intentionally designed to get between mankind and his Creator, like so many other things. And whatever kind of religion that is, whether that's the religion of scientism, the religion of atheism, Luciferian ideas, or whatever, they're all intended in one aspect or another, through different degrees and different ways, of keeping people from their Creator. In the same way that the powers that be try to keep you from truth, right? Everything they tell you is a lie. This is what you discover when you start cracking these things open, is you discover that they didn't lie about one thing, they lied about everything, right? And so when you kind of come to that, it's both groundbreaking in that it opens up, whole new worlds, but it's also can shake you up a little bit. So you kind of have to start over a little bit, but it also opens up your eyes to seeing that it's kind of boundless, right? All the stuff that they said was figured out and done isn't, and that you can start over. And that's the best way to go, I think, is to be kind of tabula rasa, an empty book, an open page, where you can start over. And if you approach it this way, without trying to defend or condemn any worldview or position, that you can go from the beginning and sort of figure out, using good discernment on your own, what is true and what is not. And sometimes you're going to get it wrong, right? I think we all do. We go down an avenue and it seems right, and there may be information there, but ultimately it's not helpful. So we're going through this journey when trying to figure it all out. And my position has always been, allow people to do that on their own. That you can never drag someone kicking and screaming into truth. They have to come to it on their own. And I think that is no more so true than now, especially this current situation that we're in. And again, see, now I'm having trouble, because I'm going, what did I say before you guys could hear me, and what have I said again since? So it's again, it's a crazy morning, and this is not at all what I had intended. Again, I had very much intended I was going to put up the interview that I did some time ago now with Seven Ravenwolf, and I had this intense sense of guilt that it's not completed yet, and I was going to throw it up. And as many times things happen, I'll get this nudge, right? Or things will go wrong, and I'll get this nudge. Oh, Cammie, I'm so jealous of your new office. It's such a beautiful place there. But so, I get this little nudge, and so today I felt like I had kind of nothing, right? I was not prepared, because I was going to do this. I was going to play this previously recorded interview, and then I hit a point last night. I realized it probably wasn't going to happen, and I'm like, oh no. What now? And I did a really kind of a dumb thing, I think, is that I said, hey, Dad, give me, would you just kind of like give me a nudge, tell me what to say, give me a dream, right? Which is one of the reasons it's a very stupid thing, is because dreams are not only very powerful, but for me, kind of flighty. There are dreams that I had in my preteen years that I can still remember intimate details of these very intense dreams. There are other experiences that I've had with dreams that, and we may talk about that at another time when I tell some of the stories of dreams that absolutely become fulfilled in every way. It's you exactly dream about what's happening, and it occurs. And there's, by the way, nothing you can do to stop it. Dreaming about situations and people that when I had the dream I'd never met or had never had any idea that I would go there. So it's a very dreams are very weird, and I've had all kinds of, lucid dreams, flying in dreams, all the good stuff. But for the most part, dreams are For me, they disappear very quickly as soon as I wake up, and it's very difficult for me to grab onto them. So asking Dad to say, "Hey, give me a dream. Tell me what, tell me what to do." Well, he did, and I was like, "I can't talk about that. What are you talking about?" And in fact, it even started earlier when Informally Hip, who's in the chat, said, "Hey, do you have a link for tomorrow's show?" And I hadn't made it yet. I was just wiped out from the week. And I was like, "I'll just do it in the morning." And I was like, "Okay, I'll put it up." So I didn't have a title. I didn't even know really for sure the topic. And I just kind of got a nudge. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting play on a book title. I'll put that up." And there's some ideas that came along with it. I was like, "Okay, I'll just leave that alone. I'll hop in bed." And then I did. I woke up this morning from a dream. And I was like, I can't talk about that, but here we go. So what's going to happen? We'll see what happens. I might offend some people. Who knows? One of the things that I've actually been immensely pleased about, and I know this sounds weird, but the small number of subscribers and followers that come here every week is perfect for me because as I observe and watch people who get a lot of followers, you get a lot of unsavory types with that. I've often said that when you turn on a light in the darkness, you're going to draw some bugs, and that's absolutely true in every place, especially the community, truth community. And so I'm delighted at that. Not only the just the type of people and the right people are here, and that's all. That's all I want. So we're family here, and I so appreciate that, and I so appreciate each of you. So where do I? How do I want to transition here? So okay, so should I tell you about the dream? I'm not sure that the dream itself is as important as what its intention was and what it meant. So let's start here. Well, okay, I'll tell you about the dream. So in the dream, I was playing music with a group of people that I knew when I was in Salt Lake City, and most of those people I had met and was playing with in church, and it was a, kind of a rock and roll church, I guess, if you will. It's one of the most successful non-Mormon Christian churches in Salt Lake City ever. They were featured many times on local news. It was very high tech. It was one of the first things that was got traction, was very successful, and they were what they would call in the Christian communities a seeker friendly church, in that just open for people to come in and ask questions, and at least that's the premise, right? So there was a number of really good musicians there, and so we had a pool of, I don't know, close to 50 really good musicians that were a part of that, and you got to play together and got to know a number of them. And I'm going to be cautious here because I don't want to, my intention is never to shame or attack or go after anybody personally. It's just these ideas. So anyway, in the dream, I got a call, and it was sort of like my wife will tell me her dreams, and they're super interesting. And often she's not herself, right? She's somebody else or watching, and I've had those dreams as well. You're just kind of an observer. It plays out like a movie. In this dream, I was me. It was sort of now-ish. But I had gone back and got invited to play with this person who was sort of the leader of all things musical and arts there. So I was like, cool. I really like the guy. He's a good musician. And we came in. We were doing the first set of rehearsals, and we got toward the end, and there was a change that he had transcribed improperly in the charts. And so I said, "Hey, dude, don't you mean this change here?" And he got really upset with me. He pulled me aside, and he was just being a dick. And anyway, without getting into all the crazy details, ultimately. The intention was, like, his whole purpose, even in inviting me to come play, was that he wanted to shame me in front of these people because he didn't like things about my life, right? He wanted to condemn me, right? And it's the weird thing about that dream is that actually sort of happened, right? Not exactly that way, but one thing that did happen while I was going to that church is I had recently been married to, after years of being single, after my first marriage, I had been married to a young lady from Northern California. And she's beautiful, talented musician, tiny little gal, and she had all kinds of. Yeah, she was a rock star, right? I mean, in terms of her appearance and everything, and she kind of she came from a more I don't know how to put it, charismatic sort of Christian background where they were really into the woo, and she was all about the woo. And frankly, she really kind of, I don't know how to put this. She would have sort of, in other circles, she would have just fancied herself a witch or whatever. She wanted to be really woo, and what happened? So we went to this new church in Salt Lake City. I took a job, and we got married, and I took a job, and we both moved to Salt Lake City, and immediately things kind of got weird, and she realized that. So I don't know, I gained popularity or whatever within that church, and she was sort of felt like my sidekick or whatever, and she became very weird. And anyway, things turned south very quickly. We hadn't been married very long. That entire marriage lasted, I don't know, 14 months or something like that. But she became really weird, and then she wanted to up and leave, but she did a lot of really bad things, as people often do on their way out. And without getting into it, I mean, I have no reason to, talk bad or negative about her. Just there was some things that were uncool, and but she would not talk about or even give her reasons. I found out later, right? Again, they were very uncool reasons, but she wouldn't give the reasons. So, but ultimately, the way that the church behaved about it. Now, keep in mind, I was not only active part, but I was kind of deeply involved there at pretty much every level. And so they took the position that if there were things going wrong and she was leaving, that I absolutely was at fault. It was something that I did that caused that. And frankly, that was not the case. And of course, I was friends again with many of all the pastors there, and close friends. And one of them later left under circumstances, and we were good friends. And he was talking to me later, and he said, "This is absolutely what went on. Is they just took the position that whatever had gone on, it was absolutely my fault." And so they treated me that. So when I sort of needed them most, they abandoned me, right? And not only abandoned, but really treated me with condemnation and judgment. And this is not the first time. I have said before that I have never gotten so much healing as so much harm as in church. And when I moved back to Seattle from Salt Lake City in 2009, instead of doing what I normally had done, which is just find a church and go to it, I just really got a nudge to just take my time and look around and find the right place. And ultimately, I never did. After about two and a half years of going to different places, what I discovered was that there was things in each of them that really bugged me. And mostly what bugged me was, it was like this club, right? They had, again, my intention was not to get too deep into this, right? But other than to tell these stories, man, for those of you who have an experience with Christianity and being treated badly, man, do I understand. And largely, this is one of the reasons why I try to keep things separate, right? It was always my intention to keep unintended consequences, right, on its own, without ever really. I'm just not very evangelical about any of it. I just would be happy not to talk about it and to focus on the truth movement and to deal with that. And then Wayne and McCroy and I started talking offline because we had common interest and we were studying Revelation. And I said, "Hey, I found some things that are interesting." And, it was like, whoa. And we looked at that and he's like, "Do you think other people would be interested in this?" And I was like, "Yeah, maybe, but, we'll upset some people, right? Because a lot of people aren't into that." And we're like, he's like, "Yeah, that's okay." And I went, "Yeah, okay. I mean, we're not afraid of it." And so we started doing Sola Scriptura, and Sola Scriptura, then he could only do it on every other Sunday morning. So we did that. And then he started going back to church. And so it changed to Sunday evening every other week. And so I just kept that Sunday morning thing. And so that's how all that happened. All right. And so I left the Sunday morning thing open, did Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World, because I love the book of Proverbs. And I find, again, there's so much wisdom in it that whatever your views are, that I think there's wisdom in there for everyone. And so I just challenge people, there are 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. I just challenge read one a day, every day for 3 months at the beginning of the day, and see if it doesn't open your eyes to some wisdom, whatever your views. And I thank you so much for those who've been following along with that. And I've gotten tons of emails and comments that it has been helpful for people. So love that. And then in doing the Sola Scriptura with Wayne, we just kind of opened it up and started from the very beginning and looked at what's in Scripture, both the Bible as well as extra biblical views, and just kind of showing our views on that, right? And we're just regular guys, and we're not trying to convince anybody of anything. Just express our views and show what we find. And I say all that to get here, right? Is that my intention always was to keep those things separate from unintended consequences. In that, again, I'm not trying to convince or convert anybody to my way of thinking. That's not it at all. But it also, I've said before, it would be sort of disingenuous of me. I couldn't honestly be transparent without at least including my journey in that realm as part of this, right? So it would be inconsistent, and we would lack really consistency, right, and integrity being the whole composition. It's all one thing. If I didn't at least acknowledge and include that as part of the thing. And then, so thus my discomfort, and so now I've gone for 15 minutes on kind of why I'm super uncomfortable with the idea of addressing some of these things directly on this channel, particularly because that was never my intention. And I guess what turns out is it's not really about me, right? So I acknowledge that everything good in my life comes from Dad, and that's where I get it. And so if he says, hey, address these things, okay. I'm going to do that. I have also discovered that being, I would say disobedient, but ignoring those little nudges can be very costly, right? And not in terms of a punishment, but again, you miss what he had in mind. So here I am, super uncomfortable in discussing some of these things because my intention is never to, I don't know, right? It's like that. I never wanted to really address some of those things, but in some ways I kind of can't. I can't help it. So I'm going to have to include some of those concepts at least in this topic, and address these things. So what was the purpose of the dream, right? Well, again, it very clearly played out a few things, and one of them again is that this religious nature that people have that becomes legalistic in what that means, right? So following these particular sets of rules and reading things in a certain way and interpreting a certain way. And part of this came along, has been, I don't know, somewhat amusing, and I hate to get amusement from these, from the death of anybody, but it's been sort of amusing to watch on social media, everybody freaking out over the recent passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Right, so she was on the Supreme Court of the United States. She was a powerful figure. She had been there for a long time. The first woman, I guess Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman on the U.S. Supreme Court. But Bader Ginsburg had a very long history of fighting for women's rights and all sorts of things. But she was very avowed liberal and was a hero to the hard left. And some of her decisions, again, I would say that I strongly disagreed with her viewpoints in many ways. But one of the interesting things about it was that she was really close friends with the late Anthony Scalia, who was another Supreme Court judge, who was often represented the conservative side in legal opinions. They were very good friends, and they cooked together. Their families went on vacation together. They were the best of friends. And yet their dissenting opinions of one another on the legal aspects was just scathing. Interesting, fascinating stuff. And I feel like that we have lost as a society, and again by design, the ability to disagree with another person's viewpoint without taking them on as an enemy. And that's one of the most grievous things that I have seen develop, especially from the social engineering, is anyone who disagrees in the slightest is cast out, right? Conform or be cast out is the words of the Rush song Subdivisions. And it's absolutely true. that with as these things begin to polarize and as they tighten up the control of the ideology, that anybody who has even the slightest differing opinion is kicked out, and they become your mortal enemy. And yet, here you had two people who were of wildly divergent views, and yet were able to keep a very close friendship for a very long time. But the main point that I want to get out of that is that what we've got is these judges, right? Who many people often look at, the president of the United States as the most powerful man or person in the world because of the militarism of the United States and imperialism, colonialism, if you will. There is certainly a lot of power that rests behind that flag, for good or ill. I think mostly ill, but without getting too much into that. But their job, right, is to interpret law. And many people forget that as the third branch of the U.S. government, you've got the executive branch, that's the president and his cabinet. You've got the legislative branch, which is both houses of Congress. And then you've got the judicial branch, which is supposed to be a matter of balances and checks. But what comes out of this, right, is they interpret the law. And in many cases, they set case law or precedent. And this is, to me, a fabulous example of the problem with legalism, the problem with creating a dogmatic religion out of any set of writings. There becomes interpretation. So there couldn't be two more diverse readings of a very short document, the Constitution of the United States and its various laws. There are many laws that have been added to it, but ultimately it's all supposed to be based in the Constitution. And so a fairly brief document is what they're supposed to interpret, and they have wildly divergent views, and they make law out of it. Well, this is exactly what we see, for example, in the primary Abrahamic religion of Judaism, the Talmud, and it's all interpretation of laws. Even Jesus himself said, when he was asked by one of the Pharisees, about a thing, he said, what does the law say and how do you read it? Right, with the idea that we are going to have our own interpretation of what those things mean. And then you get the problem again is that you didn't put out that interpretation on someone else. And so your interpretation then, because it's a law and that's the way it's supposed to be, then you can judge others based on your interpretation of that. When very clearly, even, again, we're talking members of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, who are supposed to be the highest court, certainly in the land, and by extrapolation, being one of the most powerful nations in the world, right? They should at least be able to read a single document with some consistency. And clearly, that is not the case. They have wildly different views on those. So, let me shelve that for a moment. Let's bookmark that. So with that, now I'm going to zip over to, again, I'm going to read from Scripture. I hope it doesn't offend you. One of my favorite books of the Bible, I say I got these favorites, but there's so many good ones, but written by the same author, at least that's what we're told, as the book of Proverbs, is the book of Ecclesiastes. Written by, says, the son of David. We assume that is Solomon. Very interesting. And when I was about 16, I wrote a poem. And what I did not realize is that I said in about 8 lines what Solomon said in 2 at the end of the first chapter of Ecclesiastes. And if you don't mind, I'll just read this book of Ecclesiastes because I think it makes some fabulous points here. These are the words of the preacher, the son of David, the king in Jerusalem. Vanity, vanity, all is vanity, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, indeed. What profit has a man from all his labor, in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away, another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down, and it hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes toward the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. Just point that out there. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from where the rivers come, there they return again. And all things are full of labor, and men cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it may be said, see, this is new? It has already been in ancient times before us. There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come by those who will come after. I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem, and I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. This burdensome task God has given to the sons of man, by which they may be exercised. And I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and indeed all is vanity and grasping for the wind. What is crooked cannot be made straight, and what is lacking cannot be numbered. I communed with my heart, saying, Look, I have attained greatness, and I have gained more wisdom than all who were before me in Jerusalem. My heart has understood great wisdom and knowledge. And I set my heart to know wisdom and to know madness and folly, and I perceive that this also is grasping for the wind. For in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. The first chapter of Ecclesiastes. Remarkable stuff there. I think there's many things to be taken from it directly for the truth community, those of us, again, who find out that much of what we've been told is lies. Certainly, we have this bit about the sun going on its circuit, indicating perhaps that we do not rotate around the sun. Fascinating stuff here with what has been, has always been. Nothing is new under the sun. All these things have been in ancient times before us, and no remembrance of the former things. The loss of an ancient civilization that has done much more than we have ever accomplished, despite the fact that we're told that we are the most technologically advanced generation that's ever been of man, and the smartest, when all the evidence clearly indicates that we are really the dumbest and the least accomplished individually of all of mankind, where previously people individually could accomplish great things. Now we rely on the cumulative knowledge of all people to accomplish a few things, and everyone takes credit for it and thinks that they're really smart. Ultimately, in much wisdom is much grief, and he who increases knowledge increases sorrow. And that's absolutely, I got to tell you, true. I don't necessarily say that I'm a wise man, but I do strive to understand wisdom as best I can and to increase knowledge wherever possible. And the more that you know, the more it simply breaks your heart. It is grief at levels incomprehensible. But we are, as I said earlier, we are seemingly embroiled in what is a spiritual battle, literally a battle for your soul. And it seems as though we are coming into a time where there's going to be, it's a fulcrum, right? Certainly a watershed moment, the crucible, where things will change. What comes after, hard to say. Many people have their ideas of what that's going to be, what it looks like. But people are looking and certainly seeking for answers. And I've watched in my lifetime that, for example, in the dance between men and women, it's been said, and I would agree with it, that women love a man with a plan, right? They love that confidence in people who at least claim that they know what's going on. And I've certainly seen that in groups, societies, that people love to follow. They're afraid, and they're unwilling to take responsibility for their own actions. And so they look to someone else to tell them what to do. And we've, of course, been taught this in the indoctrination camps of school, that you're not smart enough to understand it, so just listen to us, and we'll tell you the answers. Trust us, and we'll tell you what occurs. And so we do. We defer our judgment and our beliefs to someone else. And when people speak with confidence, then we want to follow them, right? We're impressed by that. Hey, this person knows. But many claim that they've got something new or unique, or even tout themselves as being brilliant. I've got this great new idea. I've said before, and I will stand by this, that people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And I'll go back to the words of Solomon, who I consider the most wise and understanding person that I've ever read, is that there is nothing new under the sun. These ideas have been before. And I considered it like somebody comes to me and says, hey, I've got this great new idea. I'm going to take wood, a tree, and I'm going to dry it out, and then I'm going to do stuff with it, and I can make all these things with it. I got some tools, and so you mean woodwork? No, 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 no. I didn't go to woodworking class. It's I'm going to call it dendral manufacturing, because that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to redefine that word. No, I mean, but it's okay. But it's woodworking. That's an interesting way to put it. But that's woodworking. No, 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 no. It's not. It's not woodworking. Don't think of it as woodworking. Right? Open your mind. You just don't get it. Well, no. What you're doing is creating things out of wood. That's woodworking. No, 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 no. But your mind is closed. You're looking at other things. What I'm doing is dendral creation. I'm manifesting it out of my own mind. Okay, but it's woodworking. No, no, don't call it that. No, you're limited in your views. You just can't understand. That's old school. No, this is dendral creation. No, it's okay, but it's woodworking. And again, I always encourage using good discernment, right? And so I'm not, again, I don't think I'm picking on anybody here. It's nobody in particular. Just I've seen a lot of things. When somebody has to redefine words, then be careful of that, because you should be very clear in what you say. Let your yes be yes and your no be no, and anything else is of the devil. And that's what Jesus said. Especially when they say, no, I'm not redefining words. I'm redefining your relationship to it. Okay, that's redefining. And then later to say, no, I get to do that. I get to redefine these words. Okay, maybe to yourself. But if you must take a word and make it mean something different, those motives are suspect. Be clear. Use words. Use your words. So this is why I strive to always be as clear as I can, and this is why I struggle sometimes. I never listen back to these streams, largely because I can't stand hearing myself pause and hum and haw. It drives me crazy. I'm like, how do you people listen to this? Like, really, it just drives me crazy because I don't script it. I just try, like, it was my intention at the outset to do that, to make it really smooth and express ideas very clearly. That's what I like to do, is try to express ideas clearly. And sometimes it's difficult for me because I know that my brain works in a way that's a little unusual, and it can, I call it like a pachinko machine. It runs all over the place. And so I got to try to bring things down into a way that is easily understood. And sometimes I'll have to say it 2 or 3 different ways in order to express it in a way that if I was teaching a class or whatever, I could kind of see when the nod goes and people are like, oh yeah, okay, I get it, and then I can move on, so that people understand what's happening. And so if I struggle with that, right, when I try to struggle to elucidate these ideas, I feel like that's on me, right? It's not that somebody's too dumb and they can't get it. It's that I didn't do a good job of expressing it, because these ideas should be fairly clear. It should be pretty straightforward. Even if they're complex or difficult or deep ideas, they should be pretty straightforward in a way that makes sense. Truth, we've said it before, truth has a frequency of its own, and it should resonate, right, very clearly. But it doesn't mean that people can't resonate with things that are misleading. right? But I've often said that, all traps have to have bait in it, or it doesn't work. There's got to be some bits of truth in it. Megsy's still waiting for the end of the dream. Megsy, the end of the dream was that basically I was really upset about the fact that he was basically kicking me out of when we were getting ready to do a tour, and he had invited me to come play keyboards, and so we get down to the kind of the end of the first rehearsal, and he's just being an ass, and he pulls me aside, right, and he's basically the entire intention was to just shame me. And make me look bad, and say that I was my life was wrong, that I was doing these things wrong. And so he had no intention, really, of including me or accepting me. But the whole point was to pull me in and then make the desire for me to want to play with them, such that I would change my behavior for them. And it's very inclusive. That's exactly the way church often is, right? So we dangle that carrot in front of you, or church, or really any group. Secret societies do the same thing, right? They kind of get you vulnerable and compromised, and then they offer you companionship and acceptance, but only on their terms. And then if you go outside those terms, then there's going to be a price to pay. And that's exactly the nature of this dream, was that if I did not change my behavior to what they thought was right, then I couldn't be a part of it. And I just had to get up and very sadly walk away. I was very disappointed in that person. And it was very, frankly, accurate in terms of my experience, not just with that person, but kind of with that whole church community at large. Now, again, I'm not attacking any church in particular, or even people who go to church. Lots of people that are great people that go to all kinds of different churches. Right? Even Catholic churches, and I saw the LDS thing earlier. I mean, I know some really good Mormon people. They're in a community, they're in a society that most of them can't leave without losing everything, and so it's a difficult situation, right? For most people, it takes an enormous amount of temerity to stand up for what you believe, and I think everyone here is familiar with that idea. Right, to follow the truth wherever it goes is super costly. It will cost many people everything. Right, it costs some people their family, their relationships, their marriage. Some people their jobs, their home, to stand up for the truth. Right, you simply when the truth is so contrary to the nature of society. Again, the further a society drifts from truth, the more they will hate someone who speaks it. That's George Orwell. So I think that's absolutely accurate, and that everyone here right now understands that fairly well. That the truth, following the truth wherever it goes, is enormously costly, and it requires this intellectual honesty to follow it. And I wanted to make the point, and this is one of the this is one of the reasons that I sometimes find it maybe counterproductive, that I don't write things down. I try to make everything sort of stream of consciousness, because it keeps me open to what's actually happening. But this idea, because this is another thing, and in fact, this is an actual circumstance with those same people I was talking about in the dream, that when I moved from Salt Lake City back to Seattle, I moved with somebody, and with a person I was dating, and so they were very upset that I would move in with this person without being married to them, as as per the Christian way. And yet I was very clearly directed by Dad to do that, and I wasn't married to that person at the time. And so later, we did get married. It was a timing thing. But I was like, you can't. They were all upset about it, and I'm like, so why are you being so legalistic? If you've known me for a number of years, and if I say, hey, Dad tells me to do this thing, irrespective of what you think about that, you should trust that I'm hearing that clearly. And they just said, that cannot be, right? God would never tell you to do that. Well, let's take a look at the story of Abraham, who is the father of three religions, right? All three Abrahamic religions come from Abraham. And in the book of Hebrews, in the Bible, what we're told is that one of the reasons that God and Abraham were so tight is that Abraham trusted God and trusted God so completely that he was willing to sacrifice his son. Now, keep in mind, if someone said, "Hey, God told me to do human sacrifice," oh, come on, right? That's Moloch, right? That is Baal. That's Moloch, right? We don't do that here. We don't do this human sacrifice thing. That is not God. You are in trouble. And and yet, again, it was that very. It says very clearly that it was that faith that he had that was imputed to him for righteousness, and that's where God made him a promise. So this has been my view consistently, is that the personal relationship that you have with your Creator supersedes every religion, every dogma, every book, every written word, because people can change written words, right? We've seen this. What the fuck is the Mandela effect about, right? So you can't trust anything. Certainly online, they change things in real time. Can't count the number of news articles that I've linked to people, and when I point something out and they go, "Hey, that's not, that's not what it says. It says this," and I go back and it did change. They didn't put up a new revised, like say this link to the new article, or even put a correction up. They just changed it. They just straight up changed it, and so it's changed. It's the barn wall, right? And Animal Farm. They're just changing it. So how can we trust men? I can't, but I absolutely can trust Dad. I've learned that I can trust him over and over, right? And I can't tell you in good conscience. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience and everything that I know that Dad is trustworthy, but I can't tell you to risk your life for Dad if you don't know him. You must have a relationship with him yourself. I think that you will find the Creator to be absolutely trustworthy and good in every way, but you have to know this first. And so this is why I just go, the relationship that you have with the Creator supersedes everything. And there's something that even, again, that Jesus said, and especially when he talks about the end. And I can't see we're at the end of the world. I don't know that. I mean, it does look pretty interesting, right? Certainly, we seem to be at the end of the civilization. That seems to be what's happening. But irrespective of that, right, he said that my sheep will know my voice, right? And that many people will be misled. They'll be deceived, right? And if it were possible, even the very elect would be deceived. But my sheep will know my voice, right? And I take this very clearly to mean that it will seem, the circumstances will probably be such that there will be a way that seems right, that seems easy. It's just a mask. It's just take care of your family. It's just a vaccination. It's just a chip, right? Just take care of your family. Why would you risk your life over that? Just comply. Just do what they tell you. Hey, doesn't the Bible say to honor, to obey the law of the land? Yeah, THC Jack, I don't know. I mean, it's just the way I see it. End of civilization as we know it. That's my take on it. Again, speculation. I don't know. That's my take on it. That the civilization as we know it is changing, right? So whatever you want to call it, it's changing irrevocably. Whatever you want to make of that. But it is my contention that if you want to make it through this coming, whatever it is, change, cycle, transition, whatever you want to call it, right? This is largely has to do with the interior condition of who you are. Should we tribe up and help one another? Absolutely, yes, we should do that. And I'm trying to do my best to work in that direction. Should we help one another along? Absolutely. But ultimately, I think it's going to, and I've said numerous times when it comes to the mask or comes to any of this stuff, right? Find your line in the sand and defend it. Don't be surprised when it comes down to having to trade security for what they want. for liberty. It's not just liberty. It's a state of mind, right? It's your conscience that they will ask you to violate your conscience just to get what they want, which is power and control. It starts with an earthquake, birds and snakes and airplanes, snakes on a plane. Oh, it's a great line. Somewhere I've got video of me playing that song. Anyway, how do I want to turn the corner here? Again, I'm not. Man, am I so not trying to again convince or convert. But I am trying to exhort you to find this place in yourself, right? To know what it is that you believe, and just absolutely. Absolutely, I would encourage you to use good discernment. There's going to be a lot of people. Jason, man, thank you. That's just really super nice of you. I really appreciate that. More than you know, actually. Anyway, let me just kind of put this here, is that we, I think we're gonna have to help one another. But we are also, I'm just here to encourage you, right? And to say that from what I see, my observation, that, yeah, Lenny Bruce is not afraid. That's right. That we are going to be put in some really increasingly difficult situations. And again, I want you to know genuinely that I'm here to encourage and help as best I can. I feel like that is my role right now, is just to be encouragement and to keep my eyes open. Ezekiel 33 in Scripture would put it as the watchman on the wall. Right, so if I have a vantage point where I can see a number of things occurring, it is my responsibility then to share it with others who are willing to listen and go, hey, these are the things I see. You can do with it what you will, right? Once I put that out there, my responsibility is done. It's not my responsibility as to whether you accept it or not. It's my responsibility to say it. If I keep my mouth shut out of fear for what will occur as a result, then I have to deal with that. And I have to be responsible for that. It literally says that your blood is on my hands if I see danger coming and don't sound the alarm. And so, oh my God, thank you guys. It's like, it's so very kind of you. Thank you. But I have to sound the alarm, or I'm responsible for not doing that. And so here I am saying, hey, I see a vector where the excrement is going into the fan, and be ready, right? And so I'm trying to make moves myself to be ready for that and to be in a position to help others as best I can, all right? But I also want to urge people to use good discernment and understand as best you can motives and who stands to benefit from what. And for my own self, I will be, again, very transparent and say my only motivation here really is to be. I wouldn't even say you're like a guide. I can't tell you where to go. I can only tell you where I've been, and help in that, in that aspect. And my encouragement again is, if you want to know, go ask Dad. Illuminati says, ask the sky. I'd just say, be more direct. Ask Dad. Because I trust him enough to say, if what I know is true, then he will confirm that. If what I know is wrong, then if you're asking Dad, and Dad is that big and powerful as I think he is, he'll tell you true, right? And then you can tell me, hey, you missed it here. And I'll be like, oh, interesting, I better check that out, right? Because I've been wrong before, absolutely. And so I'm always ready for correction and to test all things to see if it's right. And so, again, part of me wants to apologize and say I never intended, unintended consequences. I never intended to include that aspect of this journey on this side of the fence. It was my intention to sort of keep them separate. But in a way, I can't. Now, I can also say that generally, unintended consequences will continue to be about the awakening process and how we might help one another, and how we might better understand what's happened to us, how we can better understand how to help other people awaken. It has been the intention from the beginning, and will always continue to be so. And if you're more interested in some of the spiritual aspects, absolutely, I would love you to join me on Sundays at 7 a.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. Pacific on Sundays. Two things to help better understand that. And I'll show you my views there. And I'll try to keep those separated. But today, it seemed to kind of all come together. And again, this is where I was being pointed this morning, is to understand that this conflagration that we are in is of increasing importance, and it certainly should be more obvious that they are moving, the powers that be, are moving with an increasing clip that seems to sprint for the finish to get what they want. And it is going to be of increasing importance to be very careful of the next steps that you take, because as you move with speed, the direction you take is going to be of utmost importance. Every step you take in the wrong direction is one more step you got to take to go back the other way, right? And so my encouragement always would be, man, be cautious of men. I mean, I would throw out there first thing, including and maybe even especially me, right? But I try to be very careful with what I say in terms of what I suggest. I think I'm comfortable with saying, if you want to know, ask Dad. I think I'm comfortable with that. I think I'm comfortable in saying, hey, these are the things that I see and how I see it, and you feel free to take it or leave it, right? I think I'm okay with that. There are other places I say, this is empirically proven to be evidence, and you cannot... if you can demonstrate something other than that, demonstrate it to me. But these things have been shown empirically to be evidence. You can observe these things. I think I'm comfortable in all three of those areas. And so, there's no better pillow than a clean conscience. I'm okay with that. When it comes to things like, again, the immense gratitude I have for like super chats and those who have chosen to donate in one way or another, whether that's your time or finances or whatever. I mean, thank you so much. I don't usually ask for it. I mean, unless there's a specific thing I'm working for, or usually it's for somebody else. Somebody recently, again, I'm talking about, I don't have to even mention him. Let's go, he's starting a cult and he wants to get $600,000 from people to buy this property. I mentioned a property and said it was expensive. It was a really cool property. That's it. In fact, there was one person, believe it or not, right, somebody who was super cool. I love this person. And when I was asking for money for Rose, they donated money for Rose and they donated money to me, right? And it's still sitting there in that PayPal account, right? Because not that I don't need money, not that I haven't found something to do with it, but it's there because I haven't found the right thing to do with it, and ideally I wanted to keep it there in case somebody else needed it, right, so I could pass it on. And it's been there for weeks, months. So I don't think that somebody who's trying to take your money or who stops the stream and says I can't go on unless you start donating, that's never going to happen, right? I do this as a gift to you. I so appreciate I love the notes that you guys send. I love your stories of how not just my encouragement has helped you, but that's helpful for me. But how things have I love to get to know you better, right? I love the family that we're creating here. That's the most important thing to me. If you want to again show it with financial support, that's awesome, and my wife really appreciates that, right? So I just I'm just saying. My heart is for you to be, man, not everyone is good. And even those, even people who are misled, again, I've said before that some people may not be intentionally misleading, but they are themselves misled. Just, again, test everything and look at the motivations of people and just use good discernment. That's all. If it makes sense, right, then let it ring true with you. If it's a bunch of word salad, right, test it. Test all things. Can you literally put your foot down and make something happen? Try it, right? Test it. If it's some vague idea that doesn't manifest, and then they tell you it's because you didn't know. I mean, Christianity all the time, right? People pray for things and they don't get what they want, right? And they're told, you just didn't have enough faith. Right. Man, that's such a cop-out. That's such a cop-out. And it's the same cop out is that, oh, you didn't give me enough seed money. Oh, you didn't donate enough to me. Oh, you didn't, you know, I'm not going to use the words. Your hole wasn't big enough. Your perception is too narrow. It's your fault, right? Man, I just, man, it's never my intention. I really don't have dislike for anybody personally. Even, even the one guy who comes in here from time to time, right? And he attacks everybody. You know who I'm talking about. If you know, and if you don't even bother. It's not even worth it. His entire content is just yelling about and trying to take other people's attention. It's just silly. So I don't even give it any of my attention. It's not the point. The point is, even those people, right? I just understand. Hurt people hurt people. I'm sorry that they are hurting, and that they need to try to heal it in that way, but that's just not the way. And so, again, my encouragement is always to look for, how do I want to put this, right? I know it sounds, somewhat selfish, but man, take care of you first, right? Deal with you first. And so, my encouragement always go to dad, ask dad. I've never seen that go wrong ever, right? And if people have a problem with that encouragement, and if they think that that's false teaching or misleading people, again, I would just question that and say, if I say, don't listen to me, listen to dad, right? How in the world can that be wrong? How can that lead someone astray? If I expressly say, don't listen to me, right? Listen to dad. If what I say is consistent with that and dad confirms it and says yes, then man, awesome. Right, that tells me that it confirms it, and it tells you that you can affirm that and be confident in those things. If you get something else, let me know, right? So that I can look for it as well. But dad is always right. That's been my experience. Never once. Now we can be wrong in how we interpret it, and we can, we can be mistaken in what we think we hear. But what dad says is never wrong. So if anybody discourages that or says that's somehow misleading, or it's again, I gotta question that and say, how can someone think that leading people and say, don't ask me, ask dad. If anyone lacks wisdom, let him ask. Right? I don't know how anybody could accept that. I don't know. I mean, it seems like few people do, but just in case. So here's where I want to go just with this today. Is that my encouragement again is that I'm just going to be very clear and open and say that it does appear we are in more than just an intellectual conflict, right, with people who are trying to outsmart us and play 3D chess. It is more than a conflict of arms where might makes right, and clearly we're at a disadvantage in that regard. I believe, both from my experience, my understanding, my observation, and from what I see written down from people a lot smarter than me, is that this is literally a battle for the soul. It's a spiritual battle for the hearts and minds of people. And as such, those are the tools, the only tools that really work, right, is your heart, your spirit. And to me, the only way to really feed that is to go to the source of it, which is dad, the creator. So with that, again, my encouragement is to fill yourself up first. An empty well is of no value. Right? So fill the reservoir first. And once you get centered and at peace, then you are free to share that with others. So, to that extent, so again, always my encouragement to find that place first. It's always my encouragement to seek out dad, listen carefully and closely. But I don't think that you can separate the journey that we're on in finding truth without acknowledgement of the nature of truth itself. And that is that there is a creator who loves us and is trying desperately to help us if we would only listen. And there is, we also have enemies who would do anything to keep us from that, because they know that if we get the love that we need, we we don't need any of the other stuff. And so they try to distract us with stuff and distractions of attention and the false path, right, of chasing down these endless rabbit holes that lead nowhere. It seems that most of the lies that we've been told ultimately lead back to trying to keep us away from that simple truth that you are the most important thing in the universe. To the Creator, think those of you who are parents, think about how important your child is to you. That's how important you are to Dad. You're his kid. And he would do anything to save you. As a parent, you also know that that doesn't necessarily mean that true love doesn't necessarily mean giving them everything that they want to make them comfortable, right? You want them to grow and to become a person of integrity and honesty and a good character. And that's exactly who I experience the Creator to be in every way. And so, in that regard, again, that to me is the goal, right? Is to become that person that the Creator intended. And after that, everything, all the blanks get filled in. That is my encouragement today. So with that, I will say, generally, again, it's my intention to keep this channel to its original focus, which is that unintended consequences will primarily be kind of pointed to this awakening project, and I've got data that I'm trying desperately to finish getting through in such a way that I can show you what I've come to in terms of the things that again, that I have found in the responses. There's a lot of really interesting information there, and fascinating. And so I'm trying to put together charts and the data in a way that you can better understand, and it's hopefully provide some insight to you. And also, again, ultimately, let you know that you are not alone, that in this journey, that there are others just like you, and that they're good people. Right, that this is some of the most amazing people, in both severally, individually, and corporately that I have ever come across, and we're here together every week, right? And I love this group, and again, not just here on my channel, but on the other kind of associated ones. I love you guys. You're amazing, and what I see occur is just outstanding. So keep that shit up, absolutely. But again, it would be disingenuous of me to ignore the fact that it does seem that ultimately, right, we are in this spiritual conflict, and if I did not let you know of what has worked for me, that would be wrong of me to say, hey guys, I think I know. I don't say the answer, but I know who has the answer, right? And so to point you toward them and love and light, I know you feel alone. I mean, every day I feel it. I get messages every day, multiple, like. And from so many people, and I would say, don't stop. I mean, everybody's like, I don't want to take your time. Hey, yeah, I'm super busy. Yeah, yes, it's true. And yes, I get behind on things, and I'm pitifully behind on many things. But ultimately, to me, you're more important than any of that stuff, right? So, so reach out, right? And let's reach out to one another. But very few things feed my spirit as much as hearing back from people who find not only value in what I offer, but in each other. It's not about really me. I'm just happy to be a part of it and to try to do what I can to help facilitate that and to reach out. And you guys are just freaking awesome. So again, never my intent to be preachy at all. That's not the point. Again, I avoid church like the plague for reasons, right? I'm not angry about it. I just say be careful, right? Whether it's in church, out of church, somebody trying to make their own church, just, have wisdom, right? And check everything with Dad. If it sounds good, check it with Dad. If it sounds bad, check it with Dad. There might be good stuff in there. Information itself is not bad, right? It's very much what you do with that information. So I'm not afraid of anything, despite accusations that you just don't get it. Okay, I mean, Do I need to show you the results of my IQ test when I was a kid? I mean, do I need to show you all the tests that I mean, again, that doesn't matter. Doesn't make me any better person. It's made it harder on me my whole life. It's made me very alone. I understand being alone, because I just struggle to communicate with people, and so I've spent a good deal of time trying my best to communicate difficult ideas. And English is a shitty language for communicating things of a spiritual nature. It just is. And so, no, it's not that I don't understand it, right? It's not that I'm afraid of it. I just have found it to be untrue, right? The only thing that's really true is Dad, and I haven't figured that out. So all I can do is point you to that and go, here, go to the source, right? Go to the source. Oh, Sue, that's awesome. See? That's awesome, Sue. Fuck, that's amazing. So you've been putting it out there and taking the risk, and I love that. Man, you guys, again, so terrific. So again, I don't want to beat the dead horse, unnecessarily flog the mortality-challenged equine American. You guys get it. You guys, I think, understand what I'm saying, is that it is a spiritual nature. All the things that we're looking around, when we understand the nature of the lie, it all seems to lead back to, they're not just trying to kill you, they're trying to take your soul, right? And if your soul is safe, your life, again, if you don't have something worth dying for, you don't have anything worth living for. That's truth. So ultimately, when you get your connection with Dad going strong, and you have that peace that comes from knowing that everything is going to be okay no matter what, that He's got you, all the other stuff falls into place. It doesn't, I mean, day to day, yeah, it can be struggle. It can be tiring and alone and grief to look at the world, right? With increased understanding comes increased pain and sorrow. But there's joy in the relationships with one another. There's joy especially in the relationship with Dad, right? And that we've got each other's back. And so I've got your back. I know that you got mine. And that's what I wanted to say today. Be wise, right? Be careful. I'm not telling you don't listen to this, don't go to that person. I'm not going to say anybody's bad. I don't think that about people. But I do think that sometimes people think they have new ideas, and they aren't that new, right? They just are a different way of saying an old thing. And the same is true with me. I don't have anything really new. I may have a different way of saying it, but it's not new. It's been around for a long time. So I don't have anything, groundbreaking. It's the same stuff. Maybe a different way to say it. And if that's helpful, I love it, right? If I can be helpful, outstanding. And to that, I think that's what I got for today. Hope to see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Ancient Wisdom for a Modern World. Tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. I have a special guest coming in, and hope to see you then. In the meantime, this is In Your Eyes.